Galactic Standard Date. Year 11356. Day 92. Sol Standard Date. 4th of the 4th, 3267. Grand Admiral Trexler was watching the message from the Council with caution as he tried to keep another eye on the ships that he had just fired upon. A few of the smaller ones had flown out and away towards Hela, but the rest of the fleet just gathered behind the small planet that had a gun mounted to it. He found it harder to pay attention to the message as the fire from his ships began impacting the Terran vessel. He watched as the slugs from both autocannons and railguns impacted and just sparked off the armor. He breathed a sigh of relief, but it wasn't over yet. The missiles were next as they began to detonate all over the hull of the massive ship. Before the explosions with the missiles had even cleared, the torpedoes impacted and detonated into the same spots the missiles had just slightly cratered. He knew that no ship could have withstood such a barrage and remained unscathed. There were over 12,000 missiles that could each scorch a city, not to mention the fact that the torpedoes that came in next carried similar charges, with the additive of a tungsten rod that weighed 70 pounds, getting blasted into whatever it hit with the power of a nuke. The superheated plasma had made it to the ship, right as the smoke cleared, bathing the ship in yet more fire. Trexler watched on in anticipation as the plasma dissipated its heat into the ship. He zoomed in on one of the spots that had just gotten the full Monty, only to see a spotless and shining steel exterior. Trexler smashed his scaled fist into his console. "That's impossible! I was hoping I wouldn't damage their ships too much, but there's no damage! A grand total of 12,312 nuclear-grade missiles and a matching number of AP torpedoes didn't leave a fucking scratch? Absolutely and utterly preposterous!" he yelled. Trexler began to feel a trickle of fear at the fact that they had something that could block the newly minted Grand Fleet's armaments in abundance enough that they could have armor-plated his entire world and then still had some left. That's when he finally noticed the priority ping on his console. They were trying to hail him. The displays were all stuck with the video of the Council as they joined hands with the Titan and shook on some deal. He needed to let them know that he wasn't purposefully ignoring their hail somehow, lest he be destroyed in retaliation. Trexler thought on it for a minute before deciding to ask the Vice Admiral. "Vice Admiral Letter, I could use some assistance in figuring out how to respond to these Terrans, despite our displays getting jacked," he said. Vice Admiral Letter stood straight and began running her mind over the possible solutions. That's when it hit her. Her people were natural scouts and guards. They used light signals as well as sound signals to alert friendly forces of any issues. Letter looked at Trexler and gave him the rundown. "The Keti peoples have used light signaling for eons. We still use light signaling with ships to this day, actually. If you shut off the interior lights in the bridge, the window here should provide the same effect as light signaling. Just give them a random series of flickers to show them that we are also trying to communicate. Hopefully they get the hint," she displayed. Trexler flexed his arms anxiously as he flipped an analog light switch on the bridge 3 times in rapid succession before doing another 3 longer holds on the light. Then finally he ended it with another 3 short ones. He did this a few times before going back to his seat to wait. Aurelius was observing the capital ship of the Compact as it began to display Morse code for SOS. He contacted Redemption. "Redemption, can you scan their ships to see if anything is wrong with them? I would like to know if it was coincidence that they happened to use the SOS signal," he said. Redemption rang out in his head with a synthesized voice. "No, Arch-Primarch. They are not currently in any danger that I am capable of foreseeing. It is highly likely that the beings in question are simply trying to communicate that they are currently unable to answer our hails for a reason beyond their control," he said. Aurelius mulled that over for a second before opting to contact Basileus. "Lord Basileus, if I could have just a moment of your time. The Compact naval fleets are trying to give us light signals, and Redemption has made the assumption that they are doing so because their normal means of communication are somehow offline. Is there something on your end causing all this?" he said. Basileus tried to split his focus on the Zeni Council and Azariah, with mentally responding to Aurelius. "I don't see how we could be preventing their communications. I only set this camera up to their emergency broadcast systems. It should just cover their TVs and phones. I can't really see a disciplined navy having regular old television sets for all their mission-critical gear, though if they are using light signals, then I guess I should check something," he said. Basileus stopped Azariah's questioning about his species to ask her the most mundane of questions. "What exactly does your emergency broadcast system link to? That is what I set the camera to use, yet your navy seems incapable of communication presently. It seems highly unlikely that you all left such an obvious and potentially catastrophic cybersecurity failure alone, he said. Azariah just put her face into her paws and yelled a muffled, "Oh, fuck." Basilisk took a deep breath and whispered, "Why am I even surprised at this point?" while he clasped his hands together. Basilisk leaned over and shook Azariah's paw once more before settling the closing statement. "People of the Galactic Compact, I will be leaving one of my dearest within your care. She will be the ambassador of the Terran people. She can be a little extreme in her love for all small creatures. Please do not fault her too much. She will want to pet you. If you don't want that, then make it very clear beforehand. Oh, on a side note, don't hurt my little Catherine," he said, as he stood to his full height. A woman came out of the darkened background and took a flourishing bow before saying, "Hi all. My name's Catherine DeLassey, and I will be simply delighted to meet you all. My Uncle Bassie looks mean, but he's really nice. Just don't boop his nose. He gets mad at anyone but me for that," she said, as she threw up her little peace sign and backed into her spot. Amaranth dropped from Basilisk's shoulders and grew to 17 feet with a draconic woman before sighing. "Finally, I am ready to go home and relax with you a little, Basilisk. Let's go now. I'll even open the rift," she said, as she began to chant the incantation. "Telfadet maleficus, stricta cris riftus ket torma." The space in front of her immediately rent a hole in reality. Basilisk began to freak out over the possibility of killing everyone here with veil edges, as they leaked from the unshielded breach. Amaranth turned and saw the confusion and worry on Basilisk's face and smiled. "Don't worry, I shielded it. Your little friends are going to be fine. Hurry up and get in through. I want to observe this net flick alongside you," she said, as she stepped into the veil and transformed into her true dragon form. The bridge of his nose was getting worn in from all of the pinching, but he pinched again as he realized that she just did all of that with a whole galaxy watching.